Illinois Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, a Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, joins me now. Congressman, thanks so much for being with me. First, I want to get your reaction to this news that these two senators have been denied visas to Russia.
Well, it's disturbing but not surprising. They would probably put me on the stop list and many of my colleagues for criticizing the Russians for pretty much being a menace on the world stage, whether it's occupying parts of Ukraine and Crimea, or whether it's propping up the murderous regime in Syria, or interfering in our own democracy. The Russians don't like it when we criticize them. But unfortunately, instead of the president backing up our critiques of Russia, he supports them. And I think he emboldens them to keep people like Ron Johnson and Chris Murphy, and before them, Senator John McCain, the late Senator McCain, out of Russia, too.
And Senator McCain said that he was proud to be on that blacklist. Yes. We see the president just got back from the G7 in France. President Trump, while over there, claiming that Vladimir Putin outsmarted President Obama when it comes to that invasion of Ukraine and Crimea that you just mentioned. Trump repeatedly criticizing President Obama on several different subjects repeatedly, while also saying that he then would like to invite President Putin to his golf club in Miami for next year's G7 summit. And we should note that Russia is not officially back in the G7, although the president has said that he would like to see that happen. What do you make of that, of him saying that it's better if Russia is inside the tent than outside?
I totally disagree, and most of the members of that organization, the G7, don't want Russia to be part of that anymore in light of, for instance, their practical annexation of Crimea. I think that this all raises the questions that we asked about in our questioning of Special Counsel Mueller when he came to Capitol Hill, whether there are linkages between President Trump and Russia that would raise counterintelligence risks. It's very, very concerning that the president keeps currying favor with Putin, siding with Putin, trying to invite him back into these organizations, even in the evidence and in the face of all types of activity that we cannot countenance and that we criticize on a daily basis. You don't know what kind of linkages there are that would lead to this type of behavior, and that raises a severe and serious counterintelligence question that we need to continue to explore in Congress to protect our country.
So is that how you're explaining it, that you're alleging that there are linkages?
There's definitely linkages between Trump campaign officials or former Trump campaign officials and Russia. We learned during the hearing and during my questioning that Special Counsel Mueller did not come to any kind of counterintelligence assessments with regard to those linkages. For instance, we don't know their financial ties, President Trump's financial ties, or even his current business dealings with Russia. And that's something that we're trying to explore through, for instance, our investigation of Deutsche Bank and its relationship to President Trump. And we're continuing with that investigation because we have to know what the risks are to mitigate them and to protect our country.
And one of the things that we do know, thanks to the Mueller investigation, it's been backed up by the intelligence community, is that Russia did meddle in the 2016 presidential election. And now
they're planning to do so in 2020 as well.
Right. And a number of agencies and senior intelligence officials have said that they are doing it as we speak.
Yes.
Robert Mueller said it as we sit here in his hearing there. And now we're getting news from the Department of Homeland Security that they are planning, or at least going to try, to protect state and local election databases from ransomware attacks, of which we have seen a large spate. Those haven't necessarily been connected to any government. They have not been connected to any other country yet. But this notion, Congressman, that ransomware could take over these voter databases, how dangerous is that?
It's very dangerous. And in fact, even in Illinois, some municipalities have been subject to these ransomware attacks, and they've actually had to pay ransom in order to have their databases available to them again. And so to think that this might happen with a voter database is really very disturbing, to say the least. That's why in Congress, under our leadership, we've put forward measures to try to add resources to state and local municipalities as well as state elections authorities so they can protect our voter databases. Unfortunately, these measures are now held up by Mitch McConnell in the Senate for no apparent reason. We don't understand why he would not want to protect the 2020 elections the way that most members of Congress would want. And again, this is where I think President Trump plays a role. If he wanted this legislation to move forward, he would say so. He does not want to. So why is that? What are they trying to do in preventing this type of election measure from moving forward?
Right, a scary new potential line of attack for those who wish to disrupt our elections.
Absolutely.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi.